Nation, welcome back to the panel. Tonight, we will be talking about hot topics such as
the store.
Such
Mark,
as
did you shop at Hot Topic when you were in middle school?
No, because now you can do it. Now you can get all that stuff on Amazon.
Let him get his thing out the way.
Tonight, we'll be talking about the old-fashioned Southern shootout between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. We will be talking about eliminating the Pro Bowl and where we Nostradamus when we came up with that just mere weeks ago. We're going to highlight the class active one, Mr. JJ Redick. We're going to highlight some Dynasty rookie players that you're going to want to go after for all of your Dynasty leagues. And if time permits, maybe we talk about the boys this summer. All right, guys, coming at you.
That was pretty good, except for the last part.
Yeah. You know, I can't. I asked Zach to sit on the floor so that he could simulate Phil's actual size, but he refused. So,
well, I think I think Phil's on a quest. I think he's returning a ring to Mordor or something tonight. I'm not sure why he's not here, but
wow. That's that's a nerd humor, but I got it.
He was back on the banana boat, and we can't find him in the ocean.
Anton, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
So, Anton, I don't know if you've got a chance to watch our other show, Guys on Draft, but Phil. Last episode, we had the 5 worst ways to die. And Phil's number one.
Was falling out of a first-story window.
No, it was falling off a banana boat and drowning. And then he recanted the story where he was on a banana boat in the Gulf of Mexico, which isn't known for its waves, mind you. And he felt like he was in danger. I don't know if you've ever been on a banana boat or not, but
no.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's where the jokes are coming from, but we do miss Phil. So
I'll kick us off with some comments.
Please do.
If you watch the show, please not only like and subscribe, but also check out our social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You have it. We're on it.
Yeah, and comment, man, and degrade me, because guess what? I have a lot of time off, you a-holes. I'm coming back at you.
Yeah, so
bring on the comments.
We'll highlight some good takes, some bad takes, some funny things that you guys say. I guess I'll kick it off with some Mark degrading. Danny Menzel too on TikTok said
Danny Menzel. Wow.
I know.
Yeah,
this was about a lot. We got a lot of good comments on when we were talking about where Jadeveon Clowney is going to sign, and then that triggered Mark into a spiral argument against himself. About how all of our teams suck and Roquan Smith's like one of the best. Either way, so Danny Menzel too says Bears fan was right until he hyped up Fields, took me out of the entire video. So this guy was like, yeah, and then right as you said Fields, you're like, come on.
I was trying to piggyback Justin Fields on the Roquan Smith.
Yeah,
I have to give Fields some. I got to give him some positivity.
And
there.
We actually had a Clowney signing back with the Browns. So
you're gonna love this nickname.
He came home.
So continuing with Justin Fields, continuing with that TikTok. If only they might have spelled it right. Their nickname is, or their username is Spaghettio.
Oh, I like that.
That's like really good.
Yeah.
Call back to when you said Spaghetto. Yeah. He said, can't wait to see how the Kadarius Toney and Kayvon Thibodeau for Justin Fields trade turns out. Wow. So they're like, I was like, are you from the future, sir? Because they're calling that shot.
So would they?
I'm okay with that, man. You know what? We went out and we got our guy, and we're going to stick to him.
No, he's saying
no. You would trade Justin Fields.
This guy is saying that
Kevin Thibodeau and.
Oh, I thought he was saying that the trade that went down that switched the spot that gave the Giants the extra picks, they ended up with Kadarius Toney and Kayvon Thibodeau out of that, right?
Oh, you actually might be right.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
So I think they ended up with those 2 players out of that deal.
You're right.
Versus Justin Fields, and who in the future is going to end up with the better end of that trade.
That's not as funny.
Yeah.
I thought this guy was saying.
Anton, who do you think? Do you think at the end of the day is Justin Fields or is Kadarius Toney and Thibodeau going to be the better players?
Don't let me down here, Anton.
That is really a tough one. I mean, Justin Fields is supposed to be the guy, but I don't know that he. I don't know, man.
I hate when you use
It seems
words like supposed to.
The Bears is where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah, they do.
And I don't know that I see him pulling it out. I don't know that I see Fields producing and becoming what we thought he was going to become.
And just when I was starting to like you.
Sorry, man. I hope he does, because we need the Ohio State football program needs a good pro quarterback.
Come to Ohio State. Never have a future if you quarterback for our team. They definitely need a poster boy for success.
It is not the issue of the Ohio State. It's the issue of them when they get to the pros and they go to teams like the Washington Commanders and the Bears, where they go to die. So
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get behind that. I think they do a pretty good job of shooting themselves in the foot.
Okay, I'll do a few more real quick. So I've got one more that I thought we can actually kind of like talk about and let's do for a second. Captain CANNAKC86 on TikTok said Myles Garrett is the only reason he looked good last year.
Boom.
Robert Quinn is way better than Clowney.
Damn.
Listen.
Oh, some more Bears love, even though Quinn's going to be gone. But
listen, I'm going to go on record to say Clowney is one of the best run stopping defensive tackles in the league.
Again, when he's not the dude, so Myles Garrett being there.
He had 9 sacks last year, I think his biggest total at least since his
Of course it is, because if you're looking at running Myles Garrett's direction, you're going the other way. So who's the beneficiary? Jadeveon Clowney.
If he can stay healthy, I believe that he's going to have another great season.
So I highlighted in one of our episodes many episodes ago, I made the point that every time that Clowney signs with a team, that defense statistically drops. And it was true all the way up until last season, and it's only because they had – when he's the guy, it doesn't work out. But when you got a guy like Myles Garrett, you're not running at Myles Garrett intentionally. You're doing it accidentally if you have to change direction. So you're going Clowney's way, or you're rolling out Clowney's way.
What you're saying is that you were right every time except for last year. That's what I heard. I heard last year you were wrong.
No.
So
I'm right all the time.
What does Anton think about that real quick?
Anton, what do you think of Javadian?
Clowney.
Clowney. What do you think of Clowney?
You know, I've always liked him as a player, but I honestly thought in college he was a little bit overrated based on how he played. And the reason I will tell you that is his senior year, there was one guy that was deemed to be the only guy that could block Clowney in college, and it was a player that I actually coached up while we were at Tennessee, and showed him a few things that he could do against Clowney, and he was able to shut him down. And there are just ways, if you get your hands on Clowney, and linemen will know this, if you can get your hands on Clowney, it's very easy to shut him down. And so I think guys know that. While he's a dynamic player, he's very quick off the ball. If you get guys that are good athletes, they can block him. And so while you think he's going to be this force, he may not be the same force against the run that he could be in the past. So Myles Garrett seems to be a player, if you're comparing a guy that can do both.
So
That's a solid take.
So are you saying that you could block Clowney?
All I'm hearing, he can not only block Clowney, but he taught other people how to block Clowney, which is fantastic.
No. I was just saying that one of the players on our team, I was able to show him how to do it.
Rocco's trying to start a pot.
Man,
I am trying to start trouble. I apologize.
Rocky. I think Rocky was shooting for an Anton v. Clowney web battle, having Clowney call into the show.
Listen, Clowney is.
It is what it is, man. You get your hands inside on him, and you can shut him down. I can show you.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
Anton, way to double down.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Final comment is from Scott Carroll 3168. This is when we were talking about what is the proper length of your shorts as a man.
Anton, you were not part of this debate, but the debate was, should your shorts be 9-inch,
6-inch,
7, or was it
7-inch
or 5-inch? And I think you and I were kind of more the 5-inch.
Yeah, I'd be wearing the short shorts sometimes.
Phil was in the middle. And then I think you were more
Mark's
of the 9-inch.
Yeah,
Mark was 9-inch.
Well, I mean, you gotta.
Man, I'm saying no more than 2 inches above the knee, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's probably like a 7.
If you're 6 inches above the knee, I'm questioning things.
Well, Anton's a tall guy, so that could be like
that's fair.
A 9-inch short on me would be like a 5-inch on
We're dancing around a very obvious joke right now.
Yeah.
So Scott Carroll 3168 says, 9-inch cargo or jorts all day, every day. You, sir, should go to jail for that statement.
Yeah, Scott Carroll.
Hey, maybe he's got a little bit more to cover up than some of you guys that are voting for the 5-inch shorts. Okay,
9-inch jorts, and you are trying to say something that you don't have.
What is he
I'm just saying 5 inches.
Fan? Is he a Gators fan?
I'm just saying 5 inches. You're not trying to cover up the mushroom tip at the end of 5 inches. There. You're not worried about it. You're not worried about a little peekaboo.
I know you guys have seen the Cowboys like starter pack with it's like the Tony Romo jersey, the 9-inch cargo,
New Balance shoes.
So those are our comments. Thank you for commenting.
Let's go on to our first section.
Pressing issues. What's the issue? If there's issues, we're gonna press them.
Yeah, come on now. Hey, baby, ready. I just don't think you can.
It's impossible for one of us not to sing along every week.
I don't think you can do any better than that drop.
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean,
that's a high standard.
It is, man. We hang our hat on that.
I mean, you've been singing, you've been walking around singing Harry Styles.
All right, why do we have to go there?
I think you should maybe hum a little bit for us.
I will admit the new Harry Styles album is not half bad. My girlfriend has been playing it a lot, and it is stuck in my head. No, I will not sing any.
Anyways. But,
maybe for Guys on Draft, we tend to sing for some reason on that show.
Okay, so our first topic, and I really want like Anton's kind of his thoughts on this, but Nick Saban versus Jimbo Fisher. And so let me set this up. This was Nick Saban talking to a room of his boosters, and he was telling his boosters basically that Jimbo bought every player in the number 1 recruiting class last year in college football. But he also was kind of saying, I need more money to do it too. And that was kind of missed. He wasn't necessarily, he was angry about it, but he wasn't saying he wouldn't do it. He just was saying, they did it, it's wrong, can I get more money? So what do you guys think about that? Anton, what do you think about this NIL deal in general?
Should we let him go last, save the best for last? Because that was a good strategy last time.
Okay, Anton, we're going to save
He does have the most insight. Because when you lead off, man, we have nowhere to go because we're a bunch of idiots talking about something that we think we might know. And you're like, guys, I live this, I breathe this, I eat this. Now I'm going to spit it back out at you. And you're telling the truth. We're just guessing.
Just having had a son who's gone through the process. Although when your son went through the process, NIL, was it a thing or was it not a thing?
You mean when I went through?
No, when your son went through, NIL was just starting.
Just starting. Literally just starting. He kind of, it literally was, I guess, came into effect when he was able to come on. So, But when you compete against some of the other guys, it's not going to be. It's going to really affect sort of your big name guys on the team. So if you look at South Carolina, it's going to be like a Rattler type kid or somebody like that. So.
Yeah, and I think to start with, are we we're all okay with the NIL? I like the fact that it helps players make money.
Yeah, why not? I feel like that's just the direction things go, anyways.
Yeah, and the system makes billions for these schools and coaches. So I don't think any of us have problems helping the players while they're in school.
I have no beef with it.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know that they need, an extravagant amount of money because a lot of it does go to kind of helping the school programs, and they spread the wealth out a little bit. But I've always said, the same thing in the pros, man. When you bring in big names, that they're the ones putting the asses in the seats, right? So they deserve a little bit of cut of the money.
UFLR.
Nice plug. Incorrect plug there for a second.
And they're coming out to see certain players. So for them to kind of reap the benefits of their name, image, likeness being with that team, I don't have a problem with that. Now, do we have to go and sign, $45 million deals for somebody, like Jalen Hurts, for instance,
wow.
Playing in college? No, I don't think he needs that kind of money in college. Save that for the pros. That way it also still keeps that competitive edge too. You know what I mean? Like if you're making that money in college, you might Manziel probably would have petered out and never even attempted the NFL had he made that kind of money in college.
And who knows, maybe he did.
And according to a lot of what I'm hearing, him coming out and putting people on blast on podcasts, that is what happened. Is he was like, why do I have to compete to make all this money in the NFL when I'm getting all this secret money from the boosters? I'm going out, I'm partying, I'm having a great time, I'm living my best life, and I'm just naturally gifted at football.
Yeah, that can be a problem I can see happening. The one thing I'll say about that kind of thing is I wish, me personally, like, I don't know how everyone else thinks, but like I wish I could kind of be younger again and then really like try my ass off to like go to college for sports and then get some NIL money and then call it quits.
Yeah. But what sucks here is the NIL money, is that only football or is that across all sports?
I don't know.
Sports.
It is across all sports.
Man, I'll try and be a really like cool and polarizing placeholder kicker.
So like, like girls that go to school on scholarship for softball or for field hockey or guys for lacrosse, like that money's not going to be anywhere near what football generates because we've built football, to the top of the apex, to the top of the food chain as far as sports are concerned in this country, and some of these other kids that are really dynamic at their sports and, absolute standouts are not going to kind of feel the repercussion of being able to capitalize on that in college. And this is where they're going to peak. Let's face it. I mean, there's no professional softball league. Well, there are, but it's nothing to the standards of what, the four major sports are. So there's no like, in college, it's going to end for field hockey. In college, it's going to end for softball. In college, it's going to end for lacrosse unless somehow you make it into one of these kind of gimmicky leagues where you might capitalize on being a character in your relative sport, but you're not going to get paid for like how amazing you are at your sport.
Yeah, and I mean, and it affects the coaches too, not only the players. And I'll kind of ask the question to the panel because I don't have too much as far as like the Jimbo-Fisher Saban feud goes. But how deep do these types of things cut, and how much drama does it open up? Because Jimbo, on his response presser, kind of was talking about, he was saying like look into Nick Saban because there's a lot of things that you probably wouldn't like that he was talking about us about, or et cetera, that kind of thing. And he was kind of going at his character a little bit. He was going into his profession a little bit. So like how deep can it get?
So like shady recruiting then. He was pointing.
They served on the same staff.
Yeah.
I think Jimbo was on his staff at LSU. And it was comical. Like in fact, I actually watched Jimbo's press conference twice because it was so interesting. If he had just said like the first 5 minutes, that would have been good enough. But he continued to go. And even said, my mother taught me that if you speak that way, you get smacked. Maybe somebody ought to smack him. So it was an interesting. He definitely was calling.
Let's face it,
Saban into character.
We've all seen the movie Blue Chips at this point, I'm sure. So I mean, there's got to be maybe not Zach. I'm sure there's at that level, at that kind of D1 competitive level. I'm sure there's definitely some shady dealings all across the board. Whether you're Nick Saban, Jimbo-Fisher, or you're Tom, Dick, and Harry Smith, with these other smaller D1 programs. You're still doing. You're probably a little shady.
So, Anton, how do you feel overall? And I'm not sure how much you had a chance to look at, or hear this news conference, et cetera.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces, and quite honestly, I think it's kind of funny because all of these teams have sort of a dark side, if you will, and I think that. For one to call the other one out when that's kind of a cardinal sin kind of thing. And it was kind of shocking to hear Nick say something. And then it was even more shocking to hear like what you just said, what Jimbo said, like Jimbo started going deep. that was really surprising.
Yeah.
I really feel like you had to know this was going to become the Wild West, right? You had to know that every booster or every group was going to say, we want players. How do we get them? Folks had to know that this was going to happen, but the reality is it's fair game across the board. It depends on how much you want to go to a school or want to build up your team. We all knew this could happen, so it's not surprising. it is surprising that Jimbo went in like he did. Because it really, what Jimbo's, I'm going to call it speech, generated a lot more questions that I think a lot of people are not going to just let go.
No, I think that you're right. There's probably a handful of investigative journalists right now that are trying to dig into Saban's past. And I think a lot of this was motivated by Saban. Really, if you think about it, you've had 4 programs lately that are at the top. You've had Clemson, you've had Alabama, Ohio State, and maybe Georgia, some years LSU, some year, there's a rotating, but for the most part, you've got like a big 3, big 4. And suddenly Texas A&M with their oil money, or maybe UT who suddenly can snag a player because they can offer maybe 3 or 4 players a big NIL deal, or Jackson State with Deion Sanders.
See, that's the surprising one. I know you're saying Texas A&M and UT, but let's face it, before, the SEC has really come to dominance in the last 15 years probably, right? Before that, you were looking at teams
30.
like, how many, 30? You were looking at Texas being very relevant every year. You were looking at Texas A&M being pretty relevant consistently. I think now that they're in the SEC, I think people are putting a different placement on them because they've been interjected into now a conference in the SEC that, they may have been dominant for the last 30, but for the last 10 to 15, they've been super dominant because of the recruiting process that they've been able to do. So I think Texas A&M and Texas, I think teams like that, and even Ohio State, I know you like to put them there in the top 3. You said maybe Georgia. I would definitely put Georgia over Ohio State.
You put Georgia there the last couple of years, and they had the talent in the state, but they haven't been in the playoff picture as much as
Alabama, because they're
Clemson.
playing SEC competition constantly. So sure. It's tough. So now you interject teams like Texas A&M and Texas, and finally those teams are like, it's about damn time. Now we can start bringing recruiting back on an even playing field and start bringing these players back into these prestigious programs. And now we're going to see a little bit more level playing field. Jackson State is the outlier, and that's because Deion's there. Deion's a big draw. Deion seems to be a fantastic coach. He's a great personality. He was one of the best defensive backs to play the game, and I think kids want to play for him.
Yes, I agree with everything you just said, but here's my take, is that this will even out. First of all, the NCAA, which right now is avoiding this like the plague, they are allowing it to be the Wild West. At some point, will enter back into the fray and will make some rules around the NIL, number one. Or the coaches and the schools themselves will, because it's just going to get out of hand. Number 2, a booster for Jackson State is going to pay $3 million for a kid who's going to bust. And they're going to be reticent to take that chance to spend $3 million because there is no sure player. Like, I can give you a list of 5-star kids that looked amazing that got beat out at Ohio State by a 3-star player that just worked harder.
Are they all quarterbacks?
Yes, and one is named Justin.
Let me ask you a question, Rocky.
Sure.
What do you do with the kids? I mean, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that one school in the SEC paid a quarterback $8 million.
Wow.
So what do you do with that kid? He gets the $8 million, probably guaranteed. He either doesn't work out or he leaves the school, goes to another school, gets another $8 million. Now, the people who paid the first $8 million are pretty upset. Can you imagine the sort of trap that this 17-year-old kid is in, having to deal with people who have laid out a lot of cash? And to me, $8 million to me is pretty significant. If you do that a couple of times because the kid decides to transfer, what do you have other than just oh man, we shouldn't have done that?
Well, I mean,
who at some point
that's a great
this kid, needs to be. Somebody's going to be mad.
Well, I mean,
for sure.
Happened last year. I mean, Ohio State signed Quinn Ewers, who was the number 1 quarterback in their class. He enrolled early in Ohio State, got $1 million NIL deal, never played it down, practiced with the team a handful of times, then decided to transfer to Texas and has already signed a $3 million NIL deal. So before he has even played in a spring game, he has earned $4 million.
Man.
I mean, it's crazy.
So that's
How many times
non-refundable.
can he do that?
I mean, in the current system, you can transfer every year, can't you?
At some point, somebody's going to say, "Give me my money back."
Yeah,
That's exactly it.
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the NCAA is just sitting back right now and they're like, "This is why we didn't do this."
Right. Yeah.
But you guys wanted it,
Yeah.
so I'm going to let you test the waters.
But
And now look at this.
Time, the NCAA could have headed a lot of this off if they'd have just given kids a little jersey money. If they could give them a little extra money. If they could have given them a little, hey, go work in the summer and make your job. I don't care if you're making $100 to wash cars. Go make your money.
Yeah.
They created this problem.
They did,
and now they want to say, they throw their hands up to it. I think it's an NC2A problem. I think it's a lack of leadership, and I think it's basically created now the Wild West when this could have been headed off easily.
That's fair. Yeah.
100%. This is it was short-sighted on the NCAA because they didn't want to even wade into the water, and now they find themselves in the deep end of the pool. And everybody's drowning, and you got it's so funny to me because I find it funny that Nick Saban is kind of crying about an unfair system. Listen, Nick Saban should not. I mean, this guy has players on his bench that would start at any other program probably in college football.
Even what's even more funny to me is I want to know who. Supposedly this was behind closed doors. I want to know who leaked this information because, like you were saying, old Texas A&M oil money, someone's sitting in that room, all of a sudden they're perking up and they're like, oh shit, is Nick Saban?
Going off.
Is he throwing a shade at the oil industry? And then they go back to Mr. Exxon Valdez and they're like, sir, we've got a problem here.
Yeah.
Nick Saban is crying a foul and calling you out.
Yeah, it's a big mess. The last thing I'll kind of say about it was Jimbo was talking about you guys should ask him and his staff about the things that he's done, and they're like, wait, sir, didn't you work for Saban? Can we ask you these questions? He's like, hey, I'm just making a statement.
Yeah.
Shout out McAfee Show. They kind of highlighted that as well.
Well, Anton, we have appreciated you being on for this section. I know you've got to drop off.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, as always, we appreciate your intellect because it's a lot bigger than ours.
Yeah, man. I want to see you do something with the NCAA. You should be like the player representative for this whole entire NIL breakdown for the NCAA. Dude, you have such a fresh take on it, and you bring such like a level-headed mind to it. I don't think my endorsement means much, but I endorse you.
Yeah, you know what, man, I appreciate it, but you know what? We were talking about this stuff back when I played. We recognized how much money was being brought in by the schools, and all we were ever told was, well, you're getting a scholarship. And the reality is that these athletes are driving the revenues that come into these schools. They are the drivers. And for folks to go as many years as they've said and say the players deserve nothing but their scholarship, and then other folks around the campus deserve just as much as these players who are truly driving everything, all the revenue. I used to use an analogy. The football team is like the apple tree. Because people used to always complain, why do the players get so much? Why do the athletes get so much? It's like an apple tree, right? And you got to fertilize the apple tree. If you fertilize the apple tree, it produces a lot of apples and everybody gets to eat apples. If you don't take care of the apple tree, it dies and nobody gets anything. The reality is these players drive the revenue, and you've got to take care of these players. I don't care about anything else. The reality is that's what it is. No matter what the sport was, if that sport was the apple tree, then fine. If it's driving the revenue, fine. But in this case, in this sport, football drives these schools and their athletic programs.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just a fact.
I'm going to start a write-in campaign for a retroactive NIL contract for Anton Davis at University of Tennessee.
100%.
Yeah, and I think it should be I honestly think it should be like a $3 to $4 million a year NIL contract. I think you'd be willing to do some marketing.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just wear a UFL shirt when you do it.
Yes.
Yes, please
All right.
do.
Thanks, Anton. You have a good night, bud.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
See you later.
All right. See you.
And he honestly, he has awesome perspective on these types of issues because A, he's lived it. B, now he's reliving it because his son's going through it. Yeah. But I love how he attacks things from from all angles and thinks about different scenarios that would happen. Yeah, well, and it's true.
No other fantasy podcast has an ex NFL player.
Hey, why don't you put a ring on it? Why don't you put a ring on it, Mark? I gotta play the Phil role.
How about that? How about that ring right there? Is that what we're talking about? That seemed like an awesome segue for that bling right there.
You're not playing a good Phil role. You'd be like, nobody gives a damn about your ring.
Nobody cares about your ring.
Mark.
Like he'd be getting all angry.
This is what Phil does.
Hey,
After he gets heated for 15 minutes.
Can you make your voice go up and down? I mean, you haven't done that yet.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this little bling here for a second.
I'm giving you a minute timer.
I coached last night the winning T-ball all-star team to their championship. My boys played fantastic. Our teams, it was four squads versus four squads. Ours was comprised of the Mets, the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Orioles. We took down this team after 4 innings, 17-8. We all earned these rings, and bow! That's some bling right there.
Can I
timer?
Can I just go on record to say...
You had 26 seconds to spare.
See that?
How much
I'm not
coaching do you
like
do
you guys.
when you're hitting off a stick? A tee.
So here's my thing, right? And this is why...
I'm just kidding.
This is why parents, they're appreciative, right? And it's great to see when parents are appreciative of coaches. At this level, at T-ball, you want to teach them 2 things, right? You want to teach them the love of the game because you want this to become embedded into their DNA. You want them to be able to strive to become better, and then you give them the resources to do that, which is the fundamentals. So you teach them the fundamentals you teach them the fundamentals and you pair that with the love of the game, and now you have kids who are going to desire to take those fundamentals and get better. And I love it, man. I'm out there.
See, this is
total.
You're like 3 minutes.
Total. I don't care. Now you got me talking about something I'm passionate about.
I'll hit the Phil.
Total positivity, man.
Hey.
I like how you slunched down there.
Hey.
Boom. All right, that's all I'll say.
Job. Good dad moment there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, I actually am proud.
High fives all around. Dude, it's fantastic. It's so much fun.
I actually, when I saw that today, I had this feeling in my chest, and I don't normally get that feeling in my chest.
Yeah.
Then he took it, and then he took a Tums, and it was all good.
It was pride. It was pride in Mark. It was Mark Donna seeing the championship. It was nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult to wear.
Don't keep that on too long because your finger will turn green.
Yeah. All right. What's the next little?
So I think we were prophetic several weeks ago. I think Mark, actually, I'm going to give you some credit. I think you guys, you two, both started this. You were asking whether it was time to kill the NFL Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, coming from just like a kind of a younger perspective on the things, like it just isn't as. When I was younger, like I wanted to go to the Pro Bowl. Like I was like, oh man, the best players are going to be playing football together. It's going to be cool. And then like I want to say probably like 4 or 5 years ago, it just isn't something you even watch anymore.
Yeah, and if I'm being totally honest, like the last time I gave a shit about the Pro Bowl, I was in high school. Yeah. I'm now a 43-year-old man, so that was many, many years ago. So. Like back then, when you're growing up and you're playing out in the street or you're playing in your pickup games, right? Everybody does that thing where they call a player. They're like, "Oh, I'm Derek Thomas on defense," or like I'm Randy Moss, and like you're looking at these players, you're putting them on the pedestal. And back then, the Pro Bowl was like the mecca of that. You're seeing all these players, and it was kind of like your street games, like coming together because everyone's calling these same players, and it felt like it meant something back then. Now, I don't know, man. It feels like everybody puts on the let's not get injured,
Okay, I'm going to give you guys... well, first of all, I'm going to give you a deep cut. Ancient cut. Even way older than me.
You better get out the 9-inch inseams.
Way older than me. You got to look this up. It's the curse of Rocky Calavito. And so it was a... all-star game in baseball. The Indians had a great young player, and he got injured when Pete Rose, who refused to take it easy, in any game ever slid and ruined
Charlie Hustle.
Yeah, he ruined Rocky Colavito's career, ended his career basically. And so the Indians, and they were a promising young team full of promising young players, never kind of recovered from this injury, kind of sent the Indians in a tailspin. And ever since then, that was kind of the first, and I was a young boy, probably like 3 or 4. And I remember a big discussion back then even about we need to end these competitive all-star games.
Which to me is horseshit, because this is supposed to be the best of the best, right? You know, when it started kind of losing steam for me too is when we started collectively voting these people in, right? Yeah. It used to be statistics.
Popularity contest.
It used to be statistics. The best players at their positions would get in, right? Because you want to see what the cream of the crop looks like versus the cream of the crop. And if you're doing everything correctly, then you're not really going to succumb to bullshit injuries, right? From, ruining somebody's career. Now, mind you, you're still going to have, especially now with AstroTurf and all that, you're still going to have like the ACL tears, but that can happen during practice. We've seen it happen how many times during practice, and it used to be, it was le creme versus le creme, and it was amazing. And it should be, because that means that all of these guys are the most skillful at their positions. So it's, once again, a level playing field, only at the next level, because now you're talking about everybody elite. To go back to this T-ball all-star game, it's like taking your team and the best players, then you go to the next level. So now, instead of having to teach the fundamentals to everybody in the all-star game, it's all the kids that have already shown progress in doing that. So now everybody's on the same playing field, and ends up being, a very competitive match.
Yeah.
And, that's gone, man. It's no longer, that's not the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is just like this overhyped glorification of, getting the trade jerseys at the end of the goddamn game. Like, I'm so over the Pro Bowl. I hope it does get eliminated.
So you say eliminated. I would say it's got to be changed or eliminated. What do you say?
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I'm probably more so on the changing it thing. But at the same time, though, like Mark is correct about the Pro Bowl just not being what it used to be. But what was the news that dropped?
So there's a couple options. They've talked about doing a flag football game, which I'll be honest with you.
It already is.
Yeah, well, it is. And I've seen injuries in flag football games, actually pretty common, to be honest with you. In fact, yeah, I've played flag football games that were almost as rough as some tackle football games I played. But the coolest one that they've talked about is actually having the voted in players playing themselves in Madden, in a giant EA esports Madden football game, which I think is kind of cool.
I think there's more polarizing events that you can do that are just better than the actual Pro Bowl itself.
Right.
Build up those events before the Pro Bowl, maybe make the Pro Bowl kind of like not like a finale, because finales are usually grand, but more of like a closing event for the entire weekend or something like that.
That's a good way to put that.
Yeah. We thought of a bunch of ideas, and go back and look at that video, because some of those might come true, but I thought of another one. When Anton was talking about coaching the kid that learned how to block Clowney and give him trouble. What if you had like a vet or like retired player skill matchup versus a current player?
That'd be fantastic.
So I thought of like, what if Anton threw it down against Clowney and they were just doing some like blocking drills? Or
that'd be amazing.
I mean, what if you had like a current cornerback covering, receiver that thinks he can still do it,
or like
or vice versa.
Jerry Rice against like Jalen Ramsey. That would be kind of exciting.
I mean,
Deion Sanders,
Brett Favre comes back,
like Justin Jefferson versus Deion Sanders, like something.
I got a good one. Terrell Owens wants to play in the NFL so bad still, and Ocho Cinco. What if you put them in the not in the Pro Bowl, but in an event against some of these like really good corners and safeties? See if they actually can do it.
You know what?
How about this? Your old quarterback.
Which one?
Donovan against upset stomach.
Yeah.
See if he can do it. I mean,
whatever.
Donovan versus Pepto-Bismol.
I mean,
he'll probably lose that one.
I think what they should do is, I would love to see, and this is the one part of the weekend that I love, is I used to love, and I was glued to it, the skills challenge. Put the top 10 at every position, come up with a set of skills, overall winner, incentivize it, make it something worth their while to participate to their fullest capabilities.
But how much would that have to be? Like I'm being honest, because like a lot of these guys, if they're in the Pro Bowl, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them are making good money.
What about making their signing bonus or something?
So let's
like
just
equivalent.
Let's just say like a lot of these guys, right? I'd say the league average is probably somewhere around the 20 million range, right? For everybody around, right? But that's for an entire season. That's for all the work you put in with training camp, practices, games, playoffs, right? Playoffs are usually incentivized, but that's the season long. You're telling me you wouldn't like for 2 days over a weekend, you wouldn't be incentivized to win $1 million for 2 days worth of work?
Wow. How about this?
I mean, I would.
Yes, I would be, but how about this?
And I'm recently rich. I mean, to give me 2 days to make $1 million, and I'm happy as shit about that.
I got a stat to throw at you guys after you're done.
How about this? You're playing for a year's worth
of starting
of no positive drug test.
Oh, that's a good one.
No positive drug test.
What if you can
and all the weed you can smoke?
The ganja
it's
you
a free
want.
pass.
They probably couldn't do it for every player that wins a Pro Bowl event, but what if the most winningest player or the best of the MVP of the whole events or anything like that? What if they made their contract 100% guaranteed?
Or there you go.
Oh, you mean for his career?
Or his current contract, it's guaranteed.
That's a fresh take.
I don't think they would do it though.
No, they wouldn't. But that's fantastic.
The team wouldn't want to.
The team wouldn't. The NFL would have to help sponsor that because the team is going to be. The team would be rooting against them.
Yeah.
So about the median salary in the NFL is actually only $1 million. 57% of NFL football players make around $1 million to $2.5 million, with the top 86% making 5.5 to 200 million.
Well, I'm talking about people that would be. I'm talking about players that would be involved with the Pro Bowl.
So exactly. So it would be more on the. Obviously, it would be on the bigger side of things.
Yeah, like high teens more than likely.
But it probably would incentivize. Like if you're a rookie, if you're Jamar Chase and you're playing on your rookie salary.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's a guaranteed contract or $1 million for two days.
You can make it a thing to where it's all these rookies are outclassing and outperforming these vets to make it to the Pro Bowl. How good are you truly during the regular season?
How about this?
Or bracketize it into monetary value and say everybody making under $3 million a year get to compete, and the winner of that gets to face the highest paid player versus the skill challenge, and then that will then set the current market for free agency in the next season.
I've got it. How about this? The non-skill players play the skill positions, and the skill positions play the line.
That's like on Madden when you have 12 Patrick Mahomes play on it.
Dude, you have wide receivers that can't even block down field one-on-one for Christ's sake.
I would like to see
that would be funny.
You have tight ends that can't even chip. You have running backs that miss blocking assignments all the time. That'd be horrible. The offensive linemen would be in their glory because I guarantee some of those guys can go out there. They can throw a pass.
But I want to see Joe Bitonio throw a pass. I want to see if he can throw a 20-yard pass.
That would be funny.
To another lineman.
I think that puts
running a bubble screen. I want to see it.
I think hey, Roger Goodell, I hope you're listening because we just gave a bunch
better.
of sugar.
And if you are listening, like and subscribe.
This is gold. This is gold.
Yeah.
You just blew my mind. Stay classy. We have got to change that.
That's such a Band-Aid on top of a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is.
So who is our Stay Classy candidate this week?
Yeah, so I guess I'll I'll preface a little bit. JJ Redick in the past has been kind of making a name for himself as far as sports commentating goes.
It's fan favorite.
Sports personality as far as news goes. He's been on ESPN a little bit. He has his own podcast, and he's been getting a lot of credited players on there. He just seems to be able to not only have people talk to him at a certain respect and really gets some good details that you wouldn't get if Max Kellerman is interviewing Jason Tatum, vice versa.
Right.
And he's also putting a lot of people in check. He's putting Pat Bev in check. He's been putting Max Kellerman in check as well.
Yeah, I love that. So what did he say to Max Kellerman, and who is it about this past week?
Yeah, so pause this video, zoom in, and read the quote that Rocco put on there.
This is important because I think everything he said about Luka, who I know, Mark, this is your
Oh, baby.
I believe that you have a Luka stuffed animal that you sleep with.
I might.
Kind of looks like the Connor Barwin one.
It's anatomically correct. And it may lay on the back of your legs.
It may. Man, Luka can post me up anytime, man.
All right.
Luka's fantastic, man. We've highlighted it. The guy's he's got all around game, right? Yeah. And what I love about Redick is Redick comes to the aid of the players, man. Yeah, he's always willing to back shit up. And I know this is a small part of it, but Redick just a few short weeks ago, was there were some other, and I think it's kind of related. There were some other comments made about how these guys that are playing today wouldn't hold up in the NBA back then, which is related to this. And then he said, it was a different.
Well, actually, I think it was Bob Cousy that said it, which was really interesting. He was talking about how if one of the current players tried to drive in, getting fouled like he got fouled, they would not last. And Redick was having none of it.
Yeah. But so we don't really got to say too much about it. It's more of a highlight. Yeah. So JJ Redick, I think, was just, it's just classy. Like he's getting a lot of credit from a lot of people.
And I think he played on a lot of teams when he played in the NBA, and he was well liked, I think, in every stop.
Ironically enough, because in college he wasn't that well. He was kind of like Grayson Allen before Grayson Allen was Grayson Allen.
Yeah. But basically, I thought what he said about Luka was dead on, and Max was saying that Luka doesn't make players better. And JJ said that's a bunch of crap. He's playing with a bunch of rotational players, and that in the last 2 seasons, his shot selection is number 1. And so, I just kind of felt like it was a good call, and I think Redick's a good guy.
Yeah. And I think as like a side note, what this has also done is created an internet minefield, which things like this often do. And the internet is a fantastic place. So now you see all of these comparisons. So now they're not only taking people from like Jordan's era and comparing them to current players, they're taking older players and comparing them to Jordan era players. And one of the funniest ones that I have seen, and I mean, topically it's funny because of what we socially accept as greatest of all time. So Jordan is always in that talk versus, some people say LeBron, what have you. But there's a meme that was generated that is John Havlicek versus Michael Jordan. And the statistics are crazy similar. And then it goes on to say like, well, no question. It's why is Jordan even in the conversation? It's John Havlicek. You have both 11-time NBA, All-NBA. Havlicek, 13 All-Stars. Jordan, 14. Havlicek, 8 titles. Jordan, only 6. Havlicek, this is where he concedes to Jordan, 26,000 points versus Jordan's 32,000. But Havlicek, 8K rebounds versus 6, 6K assists versus 5, 31 triple dubs versus 28.
I mean, if you want to go off stats, I can't.
And Havlicek 8-0 in the finals versus Jordan 6-0.
I gotta feel this.
What I'm just saying is like,
nobody gives a damn about what you think.
Nobody cares. It was a different era.
Nobody gives a damn.
That's the point, Phil, is that they're saying that this is also a different era.
Nobody gives a shit about John Havlicek.
You sound more like a wrestler than anything.
I'm trying because I feel like when Phil gets worked up, he sounds like a little. I think he's a cross between several wrestlers, and I know he was a fan.
You know what? I could imagine Phil in one of those what is it, the luchadors, the Mexican wrestlers, the mask, shirtless with the cape.
Like a gimp,
I could see him sitting there,
a gimp mask,
I
zipper open.
I always picture Phil a little bit a cross between a wrestler and the Kool-Aid Man, busting through like a house, going, "Oh yeah!" That's kind of my.
That is very endearing. Phil is going to love that comparison.
So I did hear, first of all, Jason Tatum wore a Michael Jordan t-shirt the other night, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah. But I did hear a NBA star, I believe from the 90s, who said that it doesn't do any good to argue the greatest of all time, but he thinks you can argue the greatest in an era. And so, for instance, he
hands down Kurt Rambis.
Yeah, so, Kurt Rambis has a lot of supporters, but he argued like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson era. He argued a Michael Jordan era. He argued a LeBron James era. He argued a Kobe,
which is
short Kobe experience,
which is probably the most intelligent way to approach that, because let's face it, the game morphs, the game changes. We're seeing, and I've taken some shit on my take, but we've seen, it has transitioned to a 3-point league. It's a bunch of sharpshooters. It's a bunch of long shooting. It's not like, back in the day it was, let's take the high percentage shot. How close can we get the ball to the basket to get these high percentage shots? Now it's, well, shit, if you're unguarded, why don't you practice? Why don't you take 400 reps a day at 35 feet deep with nobody guarding you, and let's see how high we can get your percentage at shooting these deep threes. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because 3 versus 2. I mean, there's a lot of sense that makes
math,
but it's it's no longer the game that we grew up watching, or even more so like our parents grew up watching, and it's constantly morphing. So I don't think you can really do cross-generational who's better than who, because again, had these players practiced, if you give Jordan, the type of time and energy in practice to do what Steph Curry maybe practices, maybe Jordan's one of the most prolific 3-point shooters of all time. Or if, and Reggie Miller was working about getting open for the 3. So he was always, aiming to shoot as close to the 3-point line as possible for the highest percentage shot, while still also maintaining 3 points. You don't think Reggie Miller, you give him unguarded 35-foot bombs, you don't think he's putting in a percentage similar to Steph?
To the training.
I think Reggie Miller in today's NBA would have as good of a shot as Steph Curry.
Would Reggie Miller be like a good fantasy basketball player, you guys think?
100%. In today's game, 100%. Because I think Reggie Miller would be
selecting an all-time NBA basketball team right now.
Oh no, I was trying to segue us.
Fantastic.
Come on, baby. I need you this week. It's your time. Time for a breakout.
Man, I haven't heard that in a while.
Oh man. I tell you what, this topic's already got me bonerized, but you throw that drop on there, holy shit.
Should he go last?
Yeah.
Or first?
I don't know. I think he's going to go when he wants to go.
This is true. Let's not fight it, guys. I'm going to interject all over the place.
It's going to be all over.
I have a plan.
This is going to be like a house orgy. I'm just going to come and go as I please.
Wow. So I think, and I hate to compare you to Antone, but we can Antone him and kind of keep him last.
Yeah,
you're gonna shut the zipper on my Gimp mask.
I don't want to say save the best for last, but save the most maybe informative.
Because I would put my knowledge up there.
Yeah,
he definitely has a lot more repetition though.
Yeah, well, I mean, whoever wins a fantasy league, I think gets the crown for knowing the most
of this table in the only one-on-one for a championship title. I think I beat you, right? That's
I also came in how many years later, and like the best player I got to pick in that draft was Tariq Cohen, for crying out loud, because there was like nothing available, and I still made it to the championship. Dude, you had it spot on, by the way.
Loser said what?
But you know what we should go by? We should go by who's won their championship and gotten paid for it.
Okay, so now why don't you tell this? What are we doing today? Because this is our way too early.
Well, it's not way too early, because this is the time of year where a lot of dynasties will be drafting. Yeah. So
tell us, but don't go into your picks.
No, I won't. So this is where
I'm trying to corral. He's going to take all yours.
No, I know. Don't worry, I'm not going to blow this. This is for you guys. I want to hear you. Honestly, I want to hear your input, because already I've done a ton of drafts, so I know where a lot of the ADP falls, then I also have my own input as to what I believe. But dynasties, it's not way too early, because a lot of dynasties are drafted now, the rookie draft. So we're talking about established dynasty leagues where this is truly a rookie draft. This isn't selecting. This isn't a redraft league. It's not a startup league. You're still going to be able to draft some of the free agents that are on the waiver wire, but who gives a shit, because they're all old and probably shitty anyway. That's why they're on the waiver wire at this point. So we're highlighting the dynasty rookie draft here. We're going to go through some positions, and then at the end, we're going to fire out probably like the top 6 actual order that you should select these guys in. Okay. So let's start off. Let's start off with a fun one, right? Because quarterback kind of sucks. So let's just face it. First rounds, usually quarterbacks aren't involved unless it's one of the major, three. So let's start off with running back. What do you guys think with give me some dynasty running back?
You're saying like most
dynasty
exciting
rookie.
running backs?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go first because I think.
Well, I mean, I feel like the most given obvious one is, Hall being drafted by New York.
Who is the consensus 1.1 as far as?
Yeah, he's not mine, but he is the consensus
I think it's the
1-1.
It's the safest pick, especially if you're going into a dynasty league, or not going into, but going into, drafting these players that maybe has the safest longevity. Like obviously like Michael Carter's going to take some shares, but that Jets offensive line is getting younger. It's getting more exciting every year. They continue to build on it. And I just think he's drafted as to be the bell cow.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I just want to piggyback real quick. I think they're setting up a situation in New York, and I'm glad you highlighted young, talented offensive line. They're setting up a Cleveland Browns situation. They're setting up a Chubb Hunt situation here, I think.
With a better Baker Mayfield, probably.
Yeah, I think I mean, I think there's a lot to like with Bryce. I do think though that Carter is still going to be in the mix, honestly, and he actually showed a pretty good propensity to catch a pass out of the backfield.
He's a likable guy.
He will be the Hunt to Brees's Chubb.
Yeah. My 1-1 though actually would be Kenneth Walker.
I like that a lot.
And the reason is Chris Carson is hurt, and I'm not so sure that he won't be cut at some point.
He should be.
I think Rashad Penny looked fantastic.
Dude, amazing.
Yeah, in a very, very small
sample size.
Never been able to stay healthy.
He's got exactly.
And I don't know that he can stay healthy. And so I looked and watched Kenneth Walker. He is an impressive running back.
Yes.
He's got the size for the NFL. He does have the capability of being a bell cow back. And we know Seattle likes to run a running back.
And I think they also said that he's pretty good receiving as well.
Yes, yeah.
So, again, just to piggyback, because I'm just going to tell you things that I see in my drafts already and things that I've read. So, as of right now, it is still projected for Rashad Penny to win that battle and for Kenneth Walker to have a huge part in that game and being the 1B to the 1A of Rashad Penny. And you highlighted it. Can Penny stay healthy? Now, you say that short sample size. Penny has done that now twice at the end of the season where he has just put up explosive numbers. So like this dude got game.
He won me a fantasy championship last year.
Yeah. And he did it, I believe, 2 seasons before that. They've been waiting for Rashad Penny to be able to put that string of play together over the course of an entire season. Now, can he? I don't know. So I like where you're going. I think Walker is eventually going to be Seattle's main guy. And if Penny slips up at all, if he's injured at all, Walker is immediately RB1 in that scheme because I think they are going to medically cut Chris Carson. And now we're talking about dynasty rookie draft. So now you've just inherited Seattle's RB1 for the foreseeable future.
And Kenneth Walker is a decent facsimile of Marshawn Lynch. Yeah. He's not quite as big, but he's big. Fast, can catch.
Loves Skittles.
Love Skittles.
Skittles. Now, you guys have not mentioned, and I don't know if you want me to go here or if you guys want to keep going on.
No, this is your pick. I think we should maybe do one each.
So you guys have not spoken about who I'm most excited about.
Is it a 4-letter last name?
It is, and that's James Cook, man.
Plays for Buffalo.
James Cook was amazing in Georgia. This guy can run. This guy can catch. This guy can do it all. Buffalo has been waiting for a guy like this in that offense. That's the only thing that's been missing because Singletary has not been consistent.
Yeah.
When Singletary is on his game, you can see what that position is capable of in Buffalo. Just Singletary's not the guy to carry it out.
Yeah.
Enter James Cook. I think you can now safely plug him in as a 3-down back. There's going to be some leeway, right? So they're going to give Singletary a little bit of play. I think you can factor Moss completely out at this point. He might be goal line touches, but once you can safely work Cook into this, James Cook is going to have a very Dalvin Cook-like role in Buffalo, and it's going to be fucking amazing because Buffalo's offense is awesome. They're young. Josh Allen is going to be top 3 quarterback for who the hell knows how long. It's going to be for the foreseeable future. And when you have a quarterback that is as accurate as he is, that can throw like he can, that can run like he can, you're going to have a back that's capable, that's going to be fantastic. And I would argue, I've been scarfing up James Cook in my Dynasty rookie drafts, and I've finished pretty well in all my Dynasty leagues, so I have mid to late round picks, and I've been scarfing them up at the end, and I'm like, holy shit, you people are missing out.
Probably
you're missing the boat.
A steal there.
Yeah. Another one that I think is a huge steal that people are overlooking a little bit is Dameon Pierce. I think he's walking into the Texans running back role. They don't really have a clear-cut favor, and I think he's a better back than people are recognizing. I like him. I think he's going to be good.
100%
sleeper pick.
100%. He should definitely go in the first round, mid to the end, because he does have the most clear-cut path to the number 1. Because you got to figure the only people standing in his way are Marlon Mack, who's been unproven for the last 2 years,
right, and had a pretty serious injury last time we saw him in real play.
and David Johnson, who he's probably cut at this
Well, he's
point.
not even signed. Yeah, so
100. I think Pierce is at like he's a risk, but at like that 1-6, if you're drafting only rookies in a rookie draft, that 1-6, if you need a running back, I think he's kind of probably where you want to go.
I would be very happy with that at 1-6.
2 people that I do want to highlight just very quickly. Get them as cuffs, because if the RB1s go down, they are instant plug and plays and are amazingly gifted athletes.
You do like your handcuffs.
Isaiah Spiller. If Eckler goes down, Spiller's the dude.
Yeah.
And Spiller can do it all. And if Fat Lenny is a little bit too fat for that offense this year, Mr. Rashad White, I think, will find himself with a significant amount of playing time.
Yeah, I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn is definitely not.
He's not the guy.
Yeah, they do not like him. So,
all right, that was nice, guys. Good picks there. Now let's go to a position that, you know what? Now let's get some of the shit out of the way. We'll save wide receiver. Let's go to quarterback. We should only mention
There's only
a couple of them.
names. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's.
But it is interesting. Who is your first quarterback coming off the board?
I want to. Well,
go ahead.
We might have the. I don't know. We might have the same one. I mean, if you're talking Dynasty, you're talking, longevity as far as when can this.
Yeah, you've already got Baker Mayfield in your starting lineup, so you have the luxury of being able to stick one of these guys on your bench for a couple of games.
Pickett, or I want to say Ritter from Atlanta, and I'm gonna go Pickett just because the Steelers knew what they were doing in the first round. Ritter, I like. He's a great character guy, but Mariota is there for 2 years. I don't know how explosive he can be in an Atlanta offense because he's more of a I wouldn't say game manager, but everything went right for Cincinnati for them to have, put Ritter on a pedestal like how he was.
Right.
I would go Pickett.
Yeah, and I mean, you highlighted 2 quarterbacks that are coming into pretty significantly awesome situations, whereas Trubisky's going to have a short leash and Mariota's going to have a short leash, and it's,
Yeah,
they can easily be pulled with not a whole lot of repercussion.
The one that I am the most interested in, and I agree with you, I think Pickett is probably the one that's going to be starting by game 4.
Yeah,
I think
the Steelers go south. Yeah,
I mean, I think that you're talking about a quarterback that practiced on the field, that he's going to play on, he knows the area.
Yep.
The one that I think has the next clearest path is Matt Corral. I think Darnold, we know what Darnold is, and it is not impressive.
Yep.
Or
Cam Newton or Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, and what's even worse is, I don't know if you just...
Because I think Bridgewater went back to Carolina, right?
I do not know. I don't feel like that's accurate, but it
no,
could
Bridgewater's
be.
on the Giants.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Darnold, I don't know if you saw what he said today, but he said today that
it's not my job to coach Matt Corral into being a shitty quarterback.
No, he said he feels like he has the skill to be the best quarterback in the NFL.
Oh my
was
God.
Was that on the Bus podcast with Taylor Lewan?
Yeah. So famous last words.
This is a dude that just 2 seasons ago said that he saw ghosts in his 5 or 6 interception game.
Sam, you do not have the skill to be the best quarterback in the NFL, and shame on you for saying it. You're barely above. Listen, honestly, please stop talking.
Sam, you don't have the skill to be the best quarterback on your team.
Yeah, I don't know that you have. If you were in a room with Josh Rosen and Malik Willis, that you have the clearest path to being the best quarterback in the room. So I think Corral actually has a chance to start. And I think Carolina, unless they trade for a Mayfield, which is still on the table.
Why would you?
I think because their room is in disarray. I mean, that's why it's even sillier what Sam said.
Yeah.
I mean, Carolina is, as of last week, still talking to the Browns, and had the Browns taken more of Mayfield's contract, would have traded for him. So I think Matt Corral has a path to starting relatively quickly.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I now understand that meme where I was going with Bridgewater still being in Carolina. So I read a meme the other day. It said,
"That's all you heard."
Nobody gives a damn, Mark.
Carolina is still paying for Cam's replacement, Teddy Bridgewater, Cam's replacement,
Oh, I saw this
Sam
too.
Darnold, and now Cam to replace the replacement's replacement.
That was
So
him.
they're playing all three and then drafted Corral. So I'm with you. The one I'm most excited about seeing, and I'm not going to name another quarterback, is Matt Corral. I think it took Corral was injured towards late in the season last year, and I think that hurt his draft stock. But I think Corral is probably the most NFL competent quarterback to be drafted in this class. I love what I've seen out of him. His swagger is unbelievable, and his game is really good too. I think that if he puts in a good camp, and we already know what Cam has been reduced to, we already know what Darnold is capable of. I think Corral could potentially come out of camp as QB1
if he performs. I mean, I feel like Carolina is so quick to not commit to a quarterback that if Corral isn't the guy, that he's not the guy very quickly, though.
Yeah, I mean, it could go any number of ways, but I do like Corral's path, and I think that out of all of the quarterbacks selected in this, I was even very vocal about it, leading up to the NFL draft. I like Matt Corral.
Yeah. Okay, so what's next, guys?
All right, so let's punt tight end, right? Because there's not going to be any tight ends taken in your Dynasty rookie draft first round. It's just not going to happen.
So let's do it.
Let's get into it, man. Wide receiver. This is a hot topic because there are probably 8 very dynamic wide receivers that could be taken in the first round of your Dynasty draft, and there's probably at least 4 that you should talk about potentially taking as the first wide receiver off the board.
I want to. Oh man, you're right though, because there's a lot of.
I think we should get Mark the first one because I know that Mark has a serious. I don't want to say
a serious Nick Chubb for Mr. Treylon Burks.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, get it over with.
So
and you have for like
I do.
I'm
going
giving
on
you
6 months.
Well, I mean, I watched him in college, and I was just watching like the physical specimen, and then him going out and performing to what you see that he should be able to do was very, very impressive.
I'm going to be generous and give you 3 minutes.
So
Mark's never lasted 3 minutes.
Are you kidding?
This is your time.
I'm about to go 13, man. I'm about to go 10 strong. But
you couldn't go 13 minutes if I spotted you 11 and a half.
So when we break this up into the clips, I'm going to get burnt on, they're going to be like, "Oh, you saw him, on the sideline huffing and puffing. He went in, first practice, his conditioning's not there."
He's got a legitimate issue. I mean, he's got like asthma.
Yeah. Well, this dude's going to be ready. Yeah, he's got asthma. All right. And he's playing in Tennessee. And guess what? You sons of bitches. Everything is blooming right now in Tennessee. So his asthma is probably worked up a little bit. But he's going to get his conditioning straight. He's got a huge frame. He's a great route runner. He's fast. He can go up and win contested balls. I love Treylon Burks. It's a dynasty draft. Go out and get them, man. Don't go out and get the guys that are iffy or small framed. I was very high on Devontae Smith, and I still am because I think he's got a good game. That dude's got to put some meat on his bones, though. Because you saw the game where he was, he was hit, and then the defensive back went and picked him up by his hips and put him back on his feet. Like total disrespect to how slight his frame is.
Hey,
that shit ain't happening. That shit ain't happening to Treylon Burks. It would take Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney to pick him up simultaneously.
Wow.
All right, I don't disagree.
Okay, Mark. I think when I just put the timer on, it scares him.
No, man, I don't get scared. I don't even succumb to that bullshit.
The only thing I would say is like he doesn't have a really advanced route tree. Like, and I know what you're saying. It's he has all the attributes: 6'3", big frame, quick enough, wide catch radius. He's got everything. But they didn't. A lot of his passes in college were behind the line of scrimmage, and he outmuscled people.
Let me just say, there is a reason why they let A.J. Brown go in that trade.
Yeah.
And selected. I mean, not a reason why, but a reason why they were confident in who they're
I mean, the reason
selecting.
is A.J. played half a season every year because he got hurt.
Yeah.
Whoa. You're talking about my wide receiver 1, right?
Yeah. For 6-7 games, yes.
And then
Right, somebody said Jalen Reagor? I didn't hear Rager's name.
Who do you got here?
The Bears would be so happy to get Jalen Reagor.
Bullshit. Dude, we have Darnell Mooney. Oh, don't make me. You guys are baiting me. You sons of bitches are baiting me.
Darryl Mooney.
Who's your 2?
It is. God, who they just went out and got somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
Jalen Reagor to the Chicago Bears.
Fuck that. No, I like Village Jones better than I like Reagor. Crying out loud.
So, you want me to?
Yeah.
Oh, it was not MVS, the other one.
Yeah, too late.
Yeah.
Alan
Esquemius.
Lazard?
No, Esquemius. St. Brown.
Equanimus.
St. Brown.
Equanimus.
Is it? I don't think it's equanimous.
I think so. Yeah, Equanimus.
Hippopotamus? Either way.
Okay. Keep up anonymous?
So Traylon Burks is a good pick. Someone say Drake London, volume. He's just gonna get all the volume in Atlanta. I kind of want to go, and this might take Rocco's pick. I'm gonna go Chris Olave.
No, I'm
Okay. I thought Ohio State was gonna get the best of him in there.
Well, he's got 2 to choose from.
Yeah, all these dynasty draft picks for me are just, is this player gonna not only do something for you maybe this year, but is he gonna pan out for the next few seasons? And I think Michael Thomas is a huge question mark.
Yes.
How long is Landry there for? He's also old. It might even take away some of the, I wouldn't say the matchup for
because you're about to hit it.
The Olave, the matchup is good for him as far as there's a lot of other players around him. Sorry, I am so stuffy right now. My bad. I don't have COVID, I swear. It's just going to be good for this guy. I mean, it's going to pan out. He's probably going to end up being the wide receiver 1 there, not this season, but maybe, season 2, season 3 for him. I just think it's a good pick.
So in one of my dynasty drafts the other day, I shot Rocky a screenshot because I ended up working myself 5 times into the first round, and Olave was my biggest value, and I got him towards the end of the first round.
Yeah, I think he could sleep into being one of the best wide receivers.
But what happens is Olave is instant success, and I'll tell you why. Even though Mike Thomas is a question mark, Mike Thomas is going to demand coverage. Even though Jarvis Landry's longevity is a question mark, he's going to demand coverage.
Yeah.
What does that do? That leaves the rookie one-on-one who wins one-on-one matchups with, get this, not the team's best defensive back because they're already covering Mike Thomas, and they're dedicating their safeties to spying on Landry over the middle. You're going to see Chris Olave in a lot of one-on-one matchups that he can win. And he is, for me, he's one of probably the top 3 wide receivers. I'm with you, man.
Thank you for
bypass Drake London.
My sinuses were killing me there.
Bypass Drake London, unless Rocky might end up talking about him. Probably not, though. But I don't think
you're ready to press something over
that offense is not going to be dynamic. And Drake London, I think, is one of those guys that's kind of like the busts that the Lions were known for having prior to Calvin Williams.
So you're saying
Calvin
Chris
Williams.
Olave is a great receiver?
Calvin Williams?
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
Are you talking Calvin Ridley or James?
Calvin Johnson. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So you're saying
Calvin
that
Johnson.
Chris Olave is a great receiver, and I need to hear you say that.
Chris Olave is in the greatest scenario that Chris Olave could be
What
in.
a politician.
John Stamos. What? Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
You wanted it. It almost worked.
Chris Olave has the most developed. We talked about Traylon Burke not having a developed route tree.
Yep.
Chris Olave has the best. He is fluid in his routes. It is poetry. I think is one of the fastest actually in the 40 times. He catches everything. I think he dropped 2 passes in the last year and a half. It's a great scenario for him. I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to say there's 2 I like a lot, but I'm going to say anybody sleeping on Drake London is making a mistake because Drake London has a chip on his shoulder. He's been called too slow over and over and over again. He reminds me a lot of other receivers like a Terrell Owens that said he was came out of a small school, like a Jerry Rice had said they weren't good enough.
Are you A, calling USC a small school,
No,
and B,
I'm
comparing
saying,
Drake London to T.O.?
I am. Yes, I am. I'm not saying USC is a small school. I'm saying that people are saying Drake London is too slow. And there is such a thing as 40 speed and game speed. And here's what you can't teach. 6'5", 220 pounds with a catch radius of,
Yeah, I know. Tell that to a former Atlanta pass catcher, Levine Toilolo.
Laquan Treadwell is completely different. It's completely different.
Is that what you were trying to say there?
Yeah.
Laquan Treadwell?
No. It was Levine Toilolo.
Yeah. It's
the
like
tight end.
T-O-I-L-O-I. Okay.
Drake London, in limited times last year, in 8 games, had 88 receptions and 8 touchdowns, more than any other receiver in college football. He catches passes.
That happens at USC. Remember Mike Williams at USC?
Mike Williams is not bad.
No, not that Mike Williams. The bust Mike Williams that went to Detroit.
Oh, just kidding.
I would agree with you on most years, except for that if you look at the cornerbacks that came out of the Pac-10 this year, they were good. There was a lot of really good cornerbacks that came out of the Pac-10 this year. So he did it against some pretty good cornerbacks. So,
all right, so now that you confused our audience back into putting Drake London in the top 5.
The other one,
who else?
This would be one that I think some people will pass on is Romeo Doubs. Is the second receiver picked by the Green Bay Packers. I think a lot of people will go with Christian Watson. Christian Watson dropped a lot of passes in college.
Especially as to be the MVS replacement deep threat. You should not be dropping those balls.
Yeah. The funniest stat I saw on Christian Watson, too, was they broke drop passes down in tiers. He was in a tier all by himself as most drop passes.
He was a second-round pick he wasn't even second-round pick by the Packers. Was he third?
He was their first wide receiver taken. I thought it was second round.
And I think Doubs was third. Doubs had 2,100 receiving yards, 20 touchdowns. I think Doubs is kind of a low key, could be the one that actually comes out of it. And nobody's Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. But somebody's catching passes from Aaron Rodgers. And Watkins may get thrown passes from Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he'll be catching them. So, anyways, that's what I would go. And I don't know if you guys have any other receivers.
So here we go. So it's Dynasty, right? So let me mention a couple other guys. So remember, these guys, you might not be drafting them and put them in your lineup right now, but future, and it's not going to hurt this year either. So you're talking about a young offense that the Jets have. It's explosive. It's going to be fun. Garrett Wilson. Yeah. Go out and get Garrett Wilson. Jamison Williams. This might be kind of a tricky year coming off that ACL, but trust me, Jamison Williams come next year is going to be a huge part of that offense. You pair him with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you get a good quarterback in Detroit, and you might end up hitting some pay dirt there because you're going to get Jamison at a discount because of the injury. He's going to fall a little bit. George Pickens, Pittsburgh is over Chase Claypool's bullshit. I think Claypool is going to be gone. Yeah. They already got rid of Juju, so now you're going to look at Deontay Johnson commanding the most targets. But it is Trubisky, so it will only be Deontay Johnson getting the targets.
Low-key rumor, Antonio Brown wants to come back and retire.
I heard that too. Yeah. But the Steelers are just traditionally, known for picking productive wide receivers at the end of the day.
They are, but there's a lot of smoke about Pickens.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, I don't know if you guys heard, but he left the scene of an accident by walking away and abandoning his car.
He just,
2 weeks before the draft.
So, I mean, they're bringing up all of his character flaws. They're saying that he is.
It's not character. They say it's entitlement. That there's just, he has a super.
That's a character flaw.
Well, yeah, you're right. I would say that. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I filled it. I filled that. Yeah. Like PHIL.
PHIL''D. You filled that.
I filled that.
Filled that.
Last one I want to mention. I think he might be low key decent to go out there and get towards the end of the first round, beginning of the second. That's Sky Moore, because I think in Kansas City you're talking about a team that loves to throw the goddamn ball. Kelsey's getting a little bit older. They brought in Juju. Sky Moore might end up being really, really, really good value for you.
One of the best rookie landing spots, I think, in an offense. Being
Yeah.
with Andy Reid, he'll find a way to use you. My only thing with Sky Moore, I think, I just have like this doubtful fear that he's not going to be like everything that they want it to be. So by the time they draft another wide receiver or two, he'll just kind of fall into like a McCole Hardman kind of role or something like that. But I agree with you to where he has the upside, I think. So
Yeah.
The one that I'm excited to see, and I think he might actually do a lot better than what's projected, is John Mechie III. I think they're setting him up pretty good. I mean, he doesn't really have too much competition in Houston.
But John
That's
Mechie
fair.
is a taller, faster Jarvis Landry. I think he could be one that, like, in 5 years, we're like, holy crap. I mean, he had this many receptions. So, no, I agree with you there. I wanted him for the Browns, and for some reason, they just
didn't do it.
didn't feel like they needed a
We should
wide
probably
receiver.
what's our time at?
Yeah, I was just going to say, boys,
Yeah.
we're about 120. I think we should.
Put a bow on that.
Let's
So
put a bow on that.
Can I fill outro this?
Yeah.
You can.
Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room Podcast. If you love this video, please like, subscribe. You know, we have a lot of social media handles out there. It's all UFL Podcast on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Give us a follow on those as well. We almost make daily content there. And let us know as well if our takes were good. Comment on this video. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Try to live my life with my heart and my soul to the day that I die. Shit, I try, but I don't know why.